Americans are buying a lot more trucks and SUVs. Truck and SUV sales have steadily increased since the end of the Great Recession. Passenger cars, on the other hand, have been declining since 2014. In fact, 2018 saw the highest U.S. truck sales since 2005. This big spike in sales is forcing automakers to make big changes. Take General Motors, for example. GM announced in November 2018 that it was stopping production on 6 of its sedan models. Instead, it's going to focus on making more pickup trucks and SUVs.
General Motors is going to close down at least 3 of its assembly plants by the end of next year, cutting nearly 15,000 jobs.
You're looking at a company here that is not waiting until it is forced to close plants. It's trying to get ahead of the curve a little bit because the sales of cars is just not there.
GM's late to the party. Ford and Chrysler have already done that.
That's Michael Ward, an auto analyst at Williams Trading. He's been following the auto industry for over 35 years.
I think GM is a little bit late to it, in part because they had strong positions in some of those vehicles and long legacies, like at Lordstown. It's been a good plant for them for decades.
The 3 plants that GM is closing all produce passenger sedans. The Lordstown, Ohio plant manufactured the Chevy Cruze, Oshawa, Ontario primarily produced the Chevy Impala, and the Detroit Hamtramck location turned out the Chevy Volt, Buick LaCrosse, and Cadillac CT6.
Personally, I still think they're going to end up keeping Hamtramck at least open. They'll find a vehicle that they can produce at Hamtramck. Lordstown is another issue. But Lordstown is a very big plant. You know, at its peak, it produced 400,000 units. Again, one of the hardest things for the auto industry to find is a talented workforce. And they do have a talented workforce in the Lordstown area. So I wouldn't be shocked if they found a solution for Lordstown as well.
Ford, the second largest automaker in the U.S., is also gearing up for more SUV production. Ford's profits took a dip in 2017. Some experts say the company wasn't meeting demand for SUVs and crossovers. Ford expects that by 2020, almost 90% of its vehicles made in North America will be SUVs and pickup trucks. But it's not just American companies jumping on the trend. Even luxury car makers like Ferrari, Jaguar, and Maserati have been getting into the SUV business. So why are American consumers falling back in love with bigger cars? It comes down to 3 things: better mileage, higher profit, and consumer need. Some experts think low gas prices make SUVs and trucks more affordable. On top of the falling prices, these SUVs aren't the gas-guzzling behemoths of the early 2000s.
Built Ford tough. The rules have changed. Ford Expedition, the only way to get there.
Typical millennial spends more at Starbucks in a given year than the average consumer spends on gasoline in their car. It gets a lot of headlines with gasoline, but at the end of the day, you know, when people look at, spending $100 or $200 a month on gasoline, it really doesn't change much depending on the vehicle you have. Chevy Suburban today gets 20 miles to the gallon.
It seems that one thing that hasn't changed since the early 2000s is that Americans really like having a large family vehicle.
Most consumers buy a vehicle for their needs. And whether it's to move a family around, move goods around, and they balance out the cost of it to operate it, including fuel costs.
The growing demand for trucks seems like a gift to automakers, at least in the short term. SUVs, trucks, and crossovers have proven much more profitable than electric and hybrid vehicles.
The average price of a car in the United States, what consumers spend, is about $25,000. For a truck, which would include the sport utility vehicles, it's $12,000 higher. It's $37,000.
Companies may be closing plants and laying off workers, but that doesn't mean the auto industry is in trouble.
I've followed the auto industry for 35 years plus, almost 40, and it's the best shape I've seen the industry ever. The trick for General Motors is to go beyond, to think what's next. What do consumers want in those sport utilities? How do you differentiate it? How do you get a premium price? Over the last decade, you've seen the auto industry and the technology industry coming together. There's been a convergence. 2019 will be the year that we see the biggest example of that convergence. You're going to have Uber go public, Lyft go public, GM may spin off its cruise automation unit. We could see Waymo doing something. That's almost $500 billion of market cap potential from those 4 companies alone.
America's love affair with trucks and SUVs isn't showing any sign of dying down. That means an all-electric truck might be here sooner than we think.